Hi, welcome back. I'm Shane of Analog Grooves. Today I want to talk about some accessories that all record collectors should have. One thing is a record cleaning brush. Mine is actually from Big Fudge. I actually got mine in a kit. It came with this, some record cleaner, which I'm still looking at the ingredients in, but you could use other record cleaners that you do trust, but this here. The other thing is it also came with a Stylus cleaner, but also a little brush to brush this one off to get this one clean. This does a very good job to get into the grooves and clean the record very well. But other than this, the Stylus brush, and a few other things, the other thing I got was a test disc. I actually got this Hi-Fi News analog test LP. It's got all these different tracks on side A, side B for testing your phasing, to make sure your wiring is correct, to make sure that your stylus is tracking its vertical force correctly. It also has channel balance stuff to test to make sure your left and right is more even, to make sure like a voice is coming directly from the center, to make sure the balance between the two speakers is correct. That's also testing your anti-skate, and this does test anti-skate very well. There's some tracks actually on the end of side A that actually test your anti-skate and produce like a 300 hertz tone through the left and right speaker on track 6, 7, and 8. My turntable, once I tested it with the anti-skate, track 6 and 7 tracked properly. I didn't get any distortion from either of the speakers, but when I did track 8, I got distortion specifically from my right speaker in particular, which from the camera views, the left speaker. So I just adjusted the anti-skate till that distortion in that speaker, specifically on that speaker, went away, and I just kept taking the tone arm off of the record, adjusting the anti-skate, and then dropping it back down on that track, and then had the distortion go away. And then I made sure and tested the 3 tracks to make sure there's no distortion on any of them. Track 9 on that with the anti-skate, it's kind of actually a torture test. There's a lot of turntables and tone arm combinations that cannot play track 9 without distortion. It actually just states on here that it is, if you can pass track 6, 7, and 8, you'll have no problem tracking records properly with your stylus. But this also allows you to fine-tune the setup of your turntable as far as your vertical tracking, your anti-skate, so that your stylus, when it does start to wear, it wears evenly like it's supposed to, and breaks in properly and tracks your records properly. The other thing I recommend is when you're setting up is I actually got this Turntable Lab Protractor. It's got a mirror. It's kind of a mirror here, so you can see the stylus. When it's on there, you can actually make sure your cartridge is aligned properly. This is a cartridge and stylus alignment tool. I do recommend this very much. And the last thing I do recommend, I actually went ahead and picked up a Riverstone Audio gram scale. It's this here. You know, you just take this cover off and it has another part, but this here does, so far from what I can tell, allowed me to adjust my vertical tracking with this. With this, you put it on here and it'll read your vertical tracking at the record height of where the record is actually at on your turntable. It'll read it from where the record would be in terms of height of where your tone arm is. When I first did this, my cartridge and stylus that came with this turntable is rated for 2 grams. When I set up the turntable and had everything set up, I actually set it to 2 according to the counterweight, but it ended up actually, when I put this under it, it ended up being at 2.5 grams. So it was a little too heavy. This does also come with little weights to test the accuracy of the scale. Like this is a 5 gram weight. It's actually very small. There's also a 20 gram weight. And I've actually put these on scales that I know for sure are accurate, and they both did come out to be the weight that they are advertised to be. So with this, after getting my vertical tracking force correct, the cartridge, I did use the cheap paper protractor that came with the turntable. I didn't really see a protractor listed in the contents with this turntable, but it did have one. So I did use that with aligning it, because the cartridge, even though it was pre-installed, I did have to adjust it slightly. But after doing that and making sure the vertical tracking force was correct and getting all that dialed in and setting the anti-skate to 2 to match the 2 grams with the test disc, I did end up fine-tuning the anti-skate. But after dialing in my turntable with a combination of all these accessories I mentioned, I did notice that all of my records, they did sound substantially better. And I did notice that my left and right channels on music was more consistent and centered properly, like it should be. If you're serious about collecting records and actually listening to them, not just collecting them for their collectability, I do recommend these accessories for anybody serious about collecting music on vinyl that want to make sure their stylus doesn't prematurely wear or wear unevenly, but also, for that matter, wear the grooves of your records prematurely, or for that matter, unevenly in the records. Because I've found through some things I've looked at online that improperly set up turntable, you can and will damage your records. So if you care about your record collection, I recommend investing in these tools. You don't have to buy the same brands. These are just ones that I chose that have worked for me. But keep spinning your records, and I'll see you in the next video. Like, subscribe, bye.